Welcome back to Inside Jacksonville. Today, our topic, human relations.
We relate with people every time we get behind the wheel of a car.
That's not always a good thing. We've all encountered aggressive driving, maybe even from both sides, but when this aggression gets out of hand, it can turn deadly. Imagine driving down Interstate 295. You turn off, maybe not realizing you pulled in front of another car. You drive into a nearby gas station. The other driver follows, gets out of his car, and confronts you. Police say that, about a month ago, that's what happened to Thomas Skidowski. Police reports show that Skidowski pulled into this gas station right here off of Dunn Avenue. He got into an argument with another driver. Witnesses say a man followed Skidowski out of the gas station. Witnesses say they heard a shot right afterwards. Skidowski was found dead in his pickup truck 100 yards from here. Police later arrested 41-year-old Israel Kevin Williams. He's charged with murder in connection with Skidowski's death. Police call it a case of road rage. The AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety reports at least 1,500 people are killed each year in road rage disputes. Jacksonville police officer Shannon Hartley says road rage can quickly escalate out of control.
So these things can obviously go great distances and cause significant problems. I actually have come into contact with a road rage incident. Two vehicles were essentially crashing into each other on a highway. So it stemmed from an argument that happened out of the beach and dragged all the way out to the northwest side of Jacksonville via the highway. In that process, fortunately, nobody was seriously injured, but even in that incident, numerous motorists had the potential for injury, not just the people who were involved, and that's the real danger.
Road rage often involves people like you and me, ordinary drivers with no criminal history. These situations escalate quickly, endangering other drivers. UNF psychology professor Gabrielle Ibarra believes a sense of competition is behind aggressive behavior.
The nature of the driving task, it can be construed as somewhat competitive, similar to race car drivers in their various lanes. We have applied some sorts of ownership or territorialism to that space. Also affecting the driving situation is the person's level of stress. The more stressed we are, the more likely we are to react to a challenge with some fear-based or anxiety-based reaction, including potential rage.
More than just competition and stress, Ibarra believes we're isolating ourselves from others.
How often do we stop and talk to our neighbors before we let the garage door close down? How often do we ask about each other's children, how each other's day was? Not as often as we probably might, and that does have a play in this.
As long as there are cars, there will be aggressive drivers. Hartley says if a driver starts antagonizing you, there are things you can do and things you shouldn't do.
Well, first of all, I would never recommend if you feel like you're potentially in danger to stop and get out of your vehicle and confront that person. This may be an opportunity or one of those instances where you might want to go ahead and get on the phone and contact the authorities. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to escalate it. Don't make it worse. Don't antagonize the person further or anything that might stimulate their anger. So I would get the authorities involved and not pull over until the authorities are present.
Hartley stressed that we can't be responsible for the actions of other drivers, but we can choose how we react to them.
For centuries, people have looked to religion as a guide for relating to each other, how to treat each other. And throughout that history, religion has united people, but at times it has also divided us. Muslim men and women here in America have seen a lot of persecution for their beliefs since September 11th. And the Islamic Center of Northeast Florida is no different. This large mosque serves as a place to worship for Muslims here in Jacksonville. It's a gathering place that fosters a sense of community, but a few years back, that community was shaken by a bombing. Parvez Ahmed, a member of the executive committee at the Islamic Center, was devastated by this hate crime, but felt the support from his Jacksonville neighbors.
About immediately after the news came out that the mosque was bombed, our friends in the Jewish community, our friends in the Christian community, they reached out to us. They offered to repair the damaged areas. They offered to raise money. They stood with us in solidarity, speaking out, condemning this kind of violence. And I think those are all signs of progress.
For Ahmed, the negative attitude toward Muslims became personal 3 years ago when his nomination to Jacksonville's Human Rights Commission generated a storm of protest, including charges that he supported terrorism. His recent renomination wasn't nearly as contentious.
Certainly it has gone much better, definitely. Often with outreach and dialogue, these are reasonably easily solved.
Sabine Mansouri is a member of the mosque, and she says she's happy here and comfortable in the community.
Overall, I've had an excellent experience here. I have not felt persecuted or picked upon or anything. I feel that we have a lot of liberty here, a lot of freedom to practice our religion. I feel I've been able to learn more of my faith here and away from cultural interpretations than I would have been if I was still overseas.
If Muslims believe things are becoming more comfortable, the same cannot be said for Catholics. Issues within the Catholic Church, such as abortion and contraception, are at odds with the government policy. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops is suing the government, claiming that forcing Catholic institutions to provide contraception in their healthcare plans is an infringement on religious freedom. Mike Day is the director of the Family Life Office for the Diocese of St. Augustine, and he says it's a difficult situation.
If you look in the public square and the church's participation in that discourse, there is some prejudice there. I mean, any time that it speaks up, it's met with criticism. There's a lot of bias against it.
Day says it's completely appropriate for the church to add its voice to public policy debates.
You read what's going on in the news and the comments and the commentary, and it's all like knee-jerk dismissiveness of the Catholic Church and sort of a prejudgment or a bias against it, and that makes it very difficult for the Church to communicate its message. But as far as living out that message, it's become increasingly more difficult.
But that doesn't mean church members don't feel free to practice their faith. Bernie Dietzel is a parishioner at Holy Family Catholic Church here in Jacksonville.
I do feel very comfortable being a Catholic in today's America. For example, at a restaurant, I do bless my food without feeling funny or anything. At work, I wear a religious medal. But yeah, thank God.
Kenneth Starr is president of Baylor University and was the independent counsel that led to the impeachment of President Bill Clinton. His current focus is preserving religious freedom in America.
Religious freedom is precious and it's protected by the Constitution. So how dare you not allow the religious organization to meet in the school? You've got to permit the religious organization to meet in the school just as you permit young Democrats, young Republicans, and the chess club.
Starr also said that people of all religions should be thankful they can practice their faith here in America without any sort of significant interference.
In one other addition, Parvez Ahmed is a business professor here at UNF.
One very important relationship is the one between coach and athlete. Coaches are a major influence on their players, both on and off the field.
Kaylee Norton's here in the studio with a look. Kaylee?
That relationship is very close. Sports psychologists say that coaches can have a dramatic effect on the lives of young athletes. One college coach makes sure that she affects her athletes in a positive way.
Linda Gooch is the cheerleading coach at University of Central Florida. She's been coaching for almost 30 years. Under Coach Gooch, the team has won 2 national titles and have placed in the top 10 just about every year since 1994. But Gooch believes the most important part of coaching goes beyond what you see on the field.
I hope that they learned some lessons that helped them in life, because for me that is the key. Very few people are ever going to earn their living, I'm certainly one of the few, from coaching cheerleading or being a cheerleader or from the cheerleading industry. Most of them are going to go on and be doctors and lawyers and police officers and teachers and firemen, and they're not going to earn their living from being a cheerleader. So my hope is that they learn the team dynamics and working with other people.
James Kiersey is one of Gooch's former students. He's seen the way Gooch does more than just coach.
Most people where I come from don't go to college, and nobody in my family going to college. Like Linda was the reason I kept going, and there's a lot of us that can say that you know, we're inspired. We don't want to disappoint Linda, and what Linda really brings to a lot of our athletes is that discipline and that focus that you need to be able to succeed, not just cheerleading, but in life in general.
There's a whole industry built on the emotional relationship between players and coaches. Sports psychologist Pat Moore says this relationship can be the most influential.
The coaches are teachers, and teachers affect eternity. You never know where your influence is going to stop. So they are what the players look up to. And so sometimes that's hard because coaches are human. But if they just always keep in the back of their mind and that they are teachers, you'll have a good relationship with your players. And the players will be successful in whatever it is they go after. Because I think of sports as really a venue for life.
But what happens when that relationship is negative? Most recently, in the case of Jerry Sandusky, we see just how damaging it can be when a coach crosses the line.
Moore says the breakdown of the relationship between player and coach can be dangerous.
It can affect them for a lifetime. I mean, it can make them feel like they can never quite succeed the way that they had thought that they could succeed in life. And so I think it is important for coaches to be aware that they're a teacher and you never know where your influence will stop.
For parents and for those in a position to observe coaches and athletes, it's not a bad idea to know some of the warning signs that may indicate a problem. You can find them online at such sites as momsteam.com, volunteercheck.com, or just do a web search. Melody and Andrew?
All right, Kaylee, well, what should someone do if they suspect there's a problem?
That's a great question. Most importantly, of course, notify the authorities as soon as possible, but also let the organization that hired the coach know so that there wouldn't be a further incident. Melody?
All right, thank you. What's the first relationship we all experience? It's with mom.
Bonding with baby when we come back.
Society should aspire to be more like us.
Be part